If you hear singing coming from the water at night, do not follow it. It is not a woman drowning. It is already too late for her. It is something else now, calling to you with her voice. Across the rivers, lakes, and forest pools of the Slavic lands, there is said to live a spirit born of tragedy. She is called Rusalka. The old stories disagree on her origin, but most agree on this. She was once a living woman who died too soon and too unjustly near the water. A bride drowned on the eve of her wedding. A young woman betrayed by a lover and thrown into the river to hide the shame. A girl who simply slipped beneath the surface, unseen, unheard, while the world above moved on without her. Whatever her ending, the water did not let her rest. Instead, it changed her. She rises at dusk, her hair always wet, always tangled with reeds and lake flowers. By moonlight, she is said to be unbearably beautiful, pale as the moon's reflection on still water, her eyes holding both sorrow and hunger in equal measure. She sings, and in the old villages, mothers warned their sons never to follow a woman's voice across water after dark, no matter how sweetly she called, no matter how lonely the night. Because Rusalka does not simply mourn what she lost. She wants company. There is a story told along the rivers of old Ukraine and southern Russia of a miller's son named Petro. Petro worked his father's mill on the edge of a slow, wide river, and like most young men of the village, he had heard the warnings about the water spirits his whole life. He did not believe them. He was practical. He worked with his hands, ground grain into flour, and did not put much faith in old wives' tales. One summer evening, walking home along the riverbank after a long day's work, he heard it. Singing, soft, distant, achingly beautiful, drifting from somewhere out on the water. He told himself it was a village girl bathing late, or perhaps a fisherman's wife calling her children home. He walked toward the sound anyway, drawn by something he couldn't quite name. At the water's edge, he saw her, a young woman, pale in the moonlight, sitting on a half-submerged log, combing long wet hair with her fingers, humming a melody he had never heard before, yet somehow felt he had always known. She looked up at him and smiled and asked him gently to come closer, to sit with her, to listen to her song a little longer. Petro's grandmother had told him once years before, "If you ever meet a woman by the water at night who asks you to come closer, ask her name first. If she cannot answer plainly, walk away. Do not run, for running shows fear, and fear is an invitation. Walk calmly and do not look back." So Petro, remembering, asked her name. The woman's smile faltered just slightly. She told him a name, but her voice caught strangely on it, as though she were reaching for a memory that no longer quite fit in her mouth. Petro understood then what she was. He did not run. He bowed his head politely, the way his grandmother taught him, and told her he was sorry for whatever sorrow had brought her to the water, that he hoped she might one day find rest. And then he turned and walked home, slow and steady, never looking back, no matter how sweetly she continued to sing behind him. Some versions of the story end there, with Petro safely home by morning, but the older versions add one more detail, that for the rest of his life, on certain still summer evenings, Petro would hear, faintly, from somewhere out on the water, a single line of that same unfinished melody. And he never once went looking for where it came from again. It would be easy to call Rusalka simply a monster of the water, a warning wrapped in folklore to keep children from drowning. And in part, that's true. Many folklorists believe these stories served a very practical purpose. A frightening tale was often more effective than a rule at keeping young people away from dangerous rivers and lakes at night. But there is something deeper running through the Rusalka legend that scholars and storytellers keep returning to. She is rarely just dangerous, she is tragic. In nearly every version of her story, Rusalka was wronged before she became what she is, betrayed, abandoned, or unjustly killed. Her hunger for company on the water isn't simple malice. It's loneliness, twisted by grief into something that can no longer be satisfied gently. Some interpretations go further still, seeing her as a symbol of the natural world itself, beautiful, alluring, and genuinely dangerous if approached carelessly or disrespectfully. The water gives life to the village, but it does not forgive foolishness. And there is one more detail many tellings agree on. Rusalka cannot simply take whoever she wants. She must be answered. A name must be asked, an invitation accepted, a choice made by the person who hears her sing. In that sense, she isn't only a danger from outside, she is also a test of restraint. Even now, along the rivers of Eastern Europe, some still say it's unwise to swim alone after dusk during certain weeks of early summer, when Rusalka is said to be most active, most lonely, and most likely to sing. If you are ever near still water at night, and you hear something singing, something beautiful, something that seems to know your name before you've spoken it, ask her name first. And if she cannot answer plainly, walk. Do not run, because somewhere out there beneath the water, the old stories say, she is still waiting for someone to stay. Subscribe for more Slavic folklore. Next folklore, Domovoi, the spirit of the home.